Now, next, we'd like to share a number of updates and insights about mobile. And here to talk about it, Arel Lidow, one of our great product managers on the mobile team. Arel?
Thanks, Ryan. Guys, come on out. Great. All right. Well, thank you, and great to have you all here today. We have a fantastic session on moving to mobile, or rather, moving to mobile, as I've been instructed to say. Two of the most knowledgeable, best participants we have on the far side, Miles Lewis, the SVP of International Sales at Shazam. Shazam is quite possibly the most brilliant mobile app ever created. They're a well-established publisher in the mobile space. And did I hear correctly that Tim Cook actually announced that Shazam is now built into the latest version of iOS? Is that right?
Via Siri, yeah,
via
that's
Siri,
right,
yeah.
on iOS 8, yeah.
So you can actually ask Siri what the name of the song is that's playing, and it will open up Shazam and tell you. Pretty amazing. We also have Alexis Marcombe, CEO of Audience Square, which is a coalition of some of the largest and most reputable publishers in France. They recently launched their mobile ad exchange on AppNexus. They're seeing some interesting results, which we'll talk about. Alexi and I were actually speaking in the green room before this, and he mentioned that they had actually just gone live with their first mobile programmatic deal through AppNexus, which I think may be the first on AppNexus. So very excited to hear that. I'd love to talk about whether you're planning more of those. And before we get started, love to just take a quick poll. How many of you would say that you have a mobile business today? Get a show of hands. Don't be shy. Wow. OK, so over half of people in the room. How many of you would say that at some point in the next year, you will be transitioning, or making the transition to mobile in some way? OK, got some hands.
And how many of you have a mobile?
All right. And those of you who already have a mobile business, how many of you would say that you're satisfied with it today? Anybody? Few. OK, so clearly there are, everybody I think acknowledges that there's tremendous opportunity in mobile, but there are also some challenges as well. So I want to get right into it and cut to the chase. I think the sort of $10 billion question is that people are spending an enormous amount of time on their mobile devices, yet advertising budgets have been very slow to move cross-screen into the mobile space. Miles, I'm curious what you're seeing from the perspective of sort of a mobile-first publisher, whether you're seeing traditional ad budgets moving into space, and some of the things that might be holding that back if you're not seeing that.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we've got scale. I mean, I'm sure some of you know. We are in 200 countries. We have 475 million users. We have our own owned and operated sales team. And it's not always the best solution for every company. Depends what scale you have. So yeah, we work with a lot of the Fortune companies in the US. Over here in Europe, we're active in 24 of the European markets, which is pretty much all of them. And we are working and have worked with the majority of the large companies. So we have and we are. There's always a legacy. There's always a latency, of advertisers joining a medium. Happened with TV when it launched in '54, ITV here in the UK. It took years for them to grow a big, huge business on the basis of that. It's quicker in mobile, as it was quicker in digital, and it's quicker in radio. It's getting quicker every time, but there's always a latency to that.
Interesting. So, Lexi, how does this contrast to what you're seeing?
Yeah, in France we have the same view. My view is definitely very French, but in France we have something like 30% of the inventory dedicated or consulted on mobile, when it represents only 6% of the digital revenue. So there's a big gap between the two of it. And if we consider just RTB on mobile, it represents 0.1% of the investment on the French digital advertising. So it's still very tiny. And it's linked to, in my point of view, two things. The first one is that on the French market, digital has been associated for a long time to direct response campaign, and that we still have issues to track really efficiently on mobile. And the other point is that for the last year, it was not that easy to deliver a campaign on mobile. And thanks to the ad exchanges, it's easier and easier. So we begin to see the end of the funnel. And thanks to the deal we are launching today, to really segment our inventory, to be able to offer the market, the advertiser, the best inventory to the better price for the publisher, makes us having more and more revenue. Even if we launch for 1 month now, we already see revenue coming in it, and not definitely mediation revenue, but really direct revenue, thanks to this deal, and this is very encouraging for the next month.
It's interesting. You mentioned one thing I thought was interesting, that mobile is sort of associated with direct response, bottom of the funnel. We heard Brian earlier talk about this concept of performance marketplace and how mobile is, thus far sort of by and large dominated by a performance marketplace. Especially in conversations with clients, we hear a lot of sort of preconceived notions that mobile is all about apps advertising on other apps, Candy Crush offers. I'm curious, do you see a lot of that type of demand? And do you feel like that's dominant in the space?
We have this kind of demand, especially on banners, but we are capping it because basically, even if it generates revenue, this is not definitely the kind of revenue we are expecting. And so far, we are limiting the inventory that we are offering to the market, because we have tons of inventory in terms of banner that we don't want to display because of the fill rate and the advertiser we are able to target on it. On the other side, if banners are dedicated to performance campaign, and especially mediation or gaming advertiser, on the other side, on interstitial ad format, we have really qualitative advertiser. We have automotive, we have luxury brand, we have really big advertisers that are interested in making branding on the mobile. And basically, there are probably no better ad format than an interstitial on mobile. You have it in your hand, you ask for the content, you are waiting for it. In terms of memorization, it's better than what you can have on a spot on TV. So basically, this is a really good branding ad format. It's funny to see the gap between
the interstitial ad, on a mobile might be the best format ever designed.
I think so.
3 inches from user space. Yeah. Miles, I'm curious, what do you see from a demand perspective on Shazam? Do you see a lot of the app install offers, or do you see a different composition of demand?
It's a part of our business, but the reality of it is it's a small percentage. When it comes down to, if you look at Shazam, if you use Shazam, you'll see, in France at the moment we're running a Chanel listen screen. When you use Shazam, you're trying to find some media. You're trying to find the song or the TV show or the TV ad, and the app listens, and it can be anywhere from 1 second to 10 seconds, depending on the long tail of music or what you're listening to. There's a great opportunity because someone's looking at the screen. You're looking at the screen because you've asked it to do something. So for us, that's kind of the interstitial, really, because it's kind of there. That is a pure brand. It's non-clickable because obviously if you've asked Shazam to do something, you don't want to go somewhere else. So for us, it's what I call the economist side. For those of you who in the UK have worked here many years, you know that the Cromwell Road heading out to Heathrow has got this fantastic poster sites that are fundamentally charged about £1 billion a day because they reach so many people going on that main road. And really, the listen screen is hitting people in that moment for a few seconds. So we have big brands, and Chanel is a great global brand to have on that.
It's interesting that you bring that up. I think we've heard a lot of buzz recently about native ad formats and mobile. Would you say that the listen screen is native?
I don't know. I've got an opinion about the word native. I think it's been created by someone for an ease of use of saying we've got to be native. What does native actually mean? If we really go back to what we're trying to all achieve, whether you're a client or whether you're a media owner, that is get the right ad in the right place at the right time and hit people in the right place. That is it. So whether or not it's about native, I just think native's overused. If we get the targeting right, if we get the right ads in the right place, it'll work and the client's business will grow, and that's what we're all trying to achieve.
Great. I think one more question for you guys. So I think there are a lot of people in the audience who are in a similar position, Alexis, especially to you, who are moving their businesses into mobile. And Miles is sort of having experience on both the web side previously and now working for a very strong mobile-first publisher, what advice would you give to people in the audience looking to sort of transition their businesses into mobile world?
I think there's a fundamental for me, and that is, if I'd known that 80% of apps are not used a year after they're installed, I think it probably might have changed some perception of exactly where we were. You know, there is a big problem. There are 700 billion apps out there. There isn't. I'm just making it up. But you know, there isn't enough room on your screen to have all these. And also, I know we're running out of time, but don't forget, people are still using these phones. There are still a lot of people who are using old phones. If you design something for a big screen, don't always think that you've got the only screen in the world. There are an awful lot of screen sizes. So you have to do your homework and find out who your audience is, and really then begin to use any information you can to work out what handsets are being used, and then keep on top. And I know it's easy to say keep on top of it, but keep on top of it from the point of view of what's coming out, what screen sizes are coming out, what operating system changes are happening.
Right, so design for multiple screen sizes, I think is key. And Alexis, any quick advice that
basically, maybe you should try to hire my CEO, because you need really high competence in intern. You need to have the control and the managing of your technical side of business. You have to control the development of your app if you go on app, and not to have it done by a third-party company, because you have to move quick, you have to be smart, and you have to be quicker and smarter than the other. So you have to control your product. This is, to my point of view, absolutely necessary.
Quicker and smarter. I think we'd all love to be quicker and smarter. Great, so I think we've heard some great points here on sort of what's holding back budgets from moving into mobile. We've heard some perspectives from both mobile-first publisher as well as publishers who are moving their business into mobile. And gotten some great advice. I hope this is all useful for all of you, and thank you all.